Okay, so property values. Every property in a neighborhood is not created equal, okay? It doesn't matter if you have a bigger lot, just because you might have 1 acre and your neighbor might have half an acre, doesn't necessarily mean that your land value is more. It depends. Where is it located? What's the view? I'm just doing research for a client for properties in Fort Washington, Potomac on the Water, Tantalon, Potomac on the Water. There are lots in there that are not that big, that are the land assessed value alone $250,000. Then you have 1 acre lots that are a lot less, like by $100,000. So this is why it's important when I'm talking with a client, I want them to really tell me what it is that they love about their property, what makes it special. Do not think just because your neighbor's house sold for $700 that yours is going to sell for $700, especially if you have deferred maintenance that needs to be done on the property. I had a client in Upper Marlboro, went to the house, big, beautiful home. Now, it was a very nice house. However, their neighbor down the street sold for $720. They thought they were going to get $720 or at least $700. And I said no. And I said, the first number I gave them, I said, you'll probably break even at $620. Oh, no. Okay, well, did you go and walk that property when it was on the market? Because they came back, one, they wanted to sell a year later because it took them forever to get the property in shape. They had renters in the property, and they pretty much had let the property go. And not that it wasn't functioning or in, it was average condition, but there were just a lot of things that had to have been done. And they made an agreement with the renters to allow the renters to do the maintenance on the property and things like that. So the owner really let their property go. You never do that. You don't make an agreement with the renters. I don't care how handy they are, if they're in construction, whatever. You make sure that you are getting the maintenance done on your property. It is your investment, your asset. And if you think that you're going to allow somebody to, take care of your property the way that you would, it doesn't work out that way. It never does. It's not a good idea. You need to manage your property, and if you can't manage it, then you have somebody do it for you so things get done correctly. Anyway, back to the price. My client had a different layout, and that's another thing too. There are premium lots in a neighborhood. There are premium floor plans. You will get more for an open foyer. Open foyer, that means that, you walk in, it's a grand foyer, you look up. You're looking up, usually the stairs will come down and you're looking up to the second level where you can see that there are the bedrooms up there, okay? Then there is the closed foyer where it's like tunnel vision. You walk into the property, you might see the staircase to the left or the right, but you're looking straight on to the kitchen. Maybe the dining room is to the left, but your focus is, boom, right on the kitchen. You're going through the hallway because there's nothing else to grab your attention. But when you're in an open foyer, you come in and you have something to look up at, and you see that sometimes there could be a catwalk up there. You're looking at it's lofted. So if you were on that level, on the top level, you can look down at your guest as they come through the door. So that could be like a $25,000 increase, because you might not be looking at it that way, but it's the way that people feel when they come into the house. It creates more space. It's open floor plan. These things matter. Getting back to the Fort Washington property, I noticed that there are these smaller lots, and they have their premium lots, $250,000. They're not closer to the opening of the Potomac. So when you go into Swan Creek, you have the creek area, and then it opens up into the Potomac River. I would think that the closer you get to the river, the more expensive the lots would be. But there's a lot over there. There's the Swan Creek Marina. There is the National Golf Course Country Club. So you have to know what's going on in a neighborhood. You have to know what makes a difference. Why is there $100,000 difference in property value? Just because a lot is smaller doesn't necessarily mean it's lesser in value. So there are different price points to every property. Every property is unique. You really have to dig into the details and figure out what creates the selling point for each property. I hear people say all the time, they'll call me, ask me, oh, well, how much do you think we can put my house on the market for? I think it's worth this. And I might give them a lot lower value, and they don't believe me. So I say, okay, you know what? Until I walk into your property, walk on your land, I don't know what the driving factors are that's going to give weight to the value of your property. Say, okay, well, we'll test it. And that's what the analysis is for, coming soon. That's why a property should never be overpriced, because you have 2 weeks to test it. Let's see. You think it's worth $720? I say $620, and it sits. And I get no phone calls, no volume. It doesn't carry the same weight. People are just not interested. It doesn't matter how much you think your home is worth. Buyers will dictate the market to you. They will let you know how much your home is worth. Because if you can't grab their attention, then it'll be sitting 30 days, 90 days. And the last thing you want it to do is start to sit more than 30 days. Now with luxury properties, let's look at Upper Marlboro, Tantalin, also competing with new homes. Why would someone pay, just say $600,000 for your home when they can get a brand new one for $700,000, and you haven't done any renovations like in the last 15 to 20 years? Maybe you upgraded a few things. The maintenance is great, but they walk in and now they're thinking of all of this stuff that they have to do to the home. And remember, because I have a lot of clients that are like, oh, well, I could do this. I can do the granite countertops for $5,000. I could put in those cabinets for this. It's not what you can do. And if you could do it, then you should have, but you didn't. So now you're going to take the loss on your home, because it depends on who they hire. Their contractor might tell them, hey, to replace the windows, do the kitchen and the flooring. And next thing you know, depending on what they want to do, they're up to $100,000. That's their cost. But if people can't see the value in your home, it doesn't matter what you did to it so many years ago. I had a client tell me, I didn't know that, I asked if it was like South Stone instead of granite. It didn't look like granite. And they were offended. They were, oh my God, no, this comes from Italy and blah, blah, blah. Okay, nobody cares though. On top of that, somebody painted the cabinets black and did a horrible job at it. You know, it's like, so now when you open up the cabinet doors, you have like all this black splatter of paint on the inside, which is like, so that outweighs that these countertops came from Italy, which no one cares because it really didn't look all that great. No backsplash. You have to take into consideration too, when you're doing renovations, it is not going to be tit for tat. You put $20,000 into a kitchen, you're not now going to charge $20,000 more for your property. It doesn't work that way. So just remember that. And 9 times out of 10, no homeowner, before they put their house on the market, is just going to throw $50,000 plus into a renovation, because most of the times, if they've let it gone this far and never did it, they're not going to do it. So you're going to take the loss for it. Just be ready for the reality of that it's not as worth as much as you think.